You wake up in chains with no memory, surrounded by gods who treat you like dust. But the real horror, they expect you to survive. Because if you die, they'll unleash your shadow, and that thing remembers everything you forgot. You don't know where you are, only that the silence here isn't silence at all. It pulses like a breath held too long. A throne looms ahead, carved from something darker than obsidian, its edges absorbing light, its weight pressing against your chest, even from across the vast hall. You stand unnoticed, unseen, or maybe just unacknowledged. At the foot of that throne, a young man kneels. His back is straight, hands clenched at his sides, but his eyes flicker with something unsure. Not fear, something older than that, memory maybe, one that doesn't belong to him. Above him, on that throne, sits a figure you've never met but feel in your bones. His name, though no one dares say it aloud, is Ashvale, sovereign of the last dawn, keeper of the unwritten, the one who remembers what all others swore to forget. He doesn't move. He doesn't blink. Yet the temperature dips with every second his gaze remains fixed not on the boy, not on you, but on something beyond the pillars, as if watching time breathe in reverse. Then his voice breaks the stillness, low, bone dry. Do you know why we stopped recording history? The boy flinches slightly, his head bowing deeper. Because we already know it, he answers, unsure whether this is test or confession. Ashvale leans forward. The shadows do not follow. Instead, they stretch away from him, like even they have learned to fear what he carries. No, because some truths are blades that carve twice. Your pulse jumps. He's not speaking to you, but you feel it like cold fingers brushing the back of your neck. You don't know who you are, where you are, or what this place is, but every word drips into the hollow space where your memories should be. Ashvale rises. His movements are slow but unnatural, as if he doesn't disturb air or space like mortals do. He steps down from the throne, and with each footfall, the floor cracks not visibly, but spiritually. The air folds differently around him. He speaks again, not to the boy now, but to the room. To fear a name is to give it power, and yet some names erase the fear of all others. The boy swallows hard. Ashvale turns his back. There was once a man who was not born under starlight or prophecy. He rose with no birthright, no bloodline, only rage, and he carved a path through gods. You feel your breath hitch. You don't know why. They called him the timeless assassin, Ashvale says, not because he could not die, but because time itself seemed to flinch whenever he walked. You try to grasp for meaning, for context. The name doesn't ring a bell, but your heartbeat says otherwise. Ashvale's voice drops. He tore oaths from angels, ripped secrets from shadows. He murdered those who could not be killed, and in doing so, he made the gods afraid of being remembered. He faces the boy again, but his eyes are distant. So we erased him, every record, every monument, every whisper. The boy doesn't dare respond. Ashvale descends the final step and stands before the kneeling figure. But some things do not stay buried. They return dressed in new skin, wearing new scars, but bearing the same hunger. For a second, Ashvale's gaze lifts over the boy's head, straight toward you, and your heart freezes. He can see you, even if no one else can, even if you're not supposed to exist here. Ashvale sees through the veil that divides memory from moment. The assassin is not gone, he says quietly. He's just forgotten. You step back, breath caught, chains you can't see suddenly tightening. The pressure in your skull sharpens, like something trying to surface from beneath layers of rusted thought. Then, with no warning, Ashvale snaps his fingers. The kneeling boy vanishes, gone in a blink. No flash, no sound, just absence. You stagger forward instinctively, but the world around you blurs. The pillars twist, the air fractures. Ashvale turns his back once more. You're not sure if he speaks again or if the words just crawl into your head. He's awake. And you know, they're not talking about the boy. They're talking about you. You don't remember falling. One moment, you're standing in that impossible hall, facing a god carved from fear itself. The next, gravity betrays you. You plunge through darkness that clings to your skin like wet cloth. There's no end, no sound, just pressure. And then impact. Your body hits stone, but it's not pain that greets you. It's memory, not yours, someone else's. You feel blood on your knuckles, a scream yours, maybe echoing across a battlefield littered with shattered crowns. A blade buried in your chest, pulled out by your own hand. Then nothing. You jolt upright. Cold air slices across your back. The ground beneath you is cracked slate, slick with condensation. Around you, walls spiral upward in uneven circles, like a tower designed by someone who'd never seen the sky. You're alone, or so it seems. Your wrists are still chained. Heavy iron links, old but clean. There's no door, no window, only a sliver of light bleeding down from somewhere far above. It flickers like a pulse. You test your arms. The chains don't budge. Something shifts in the corner. You turn your head slowly. Not out of fear, but instinct. A shape stands there, half covered by shadow, breathing too steadily to be human. No sound comes from it, but you feel its presence wrap around you, like a coil tightening with every breath. Then it steps forward. It's not tall, not monstrous, but it wears a face that looks almost like yours, younger, sharper, but wrong. Its eyes are hollow, black as the space between thoughts. You stare. It stares back. Then it speaks. Your voice but distorted, like it's echoing from a cave that doesn't belong to this world. I was left here when you died. You try to speak, but your throat is dry. Every word turns to ash before it can rise. I kept your rage warm, kept it fed. Your breath quickens. The chains rattle slightly, not from your movement, but from something inside them reacting. You forgot me, but I never forgot you.
No.
You're not sure that this thing is Shadow Twin, Curse, but you know it doesn't lie. This isn't some illusion meant to terrify you. This is part of you. It steps closer. Your body tenses. The closer it comes, the louder your heartbeat gets. Not in fear, but anticipation. It kneels beside you, not gently. I can open the chains, but only if you let me in. The words land heavy. You should hesitate. You don't. Because somewhere behind your ribcage, something is howling to be remembered. You nod once. It smiles. There's no kindness in it, just satisfaction. A task finally reaching its next phase. It lifts its hand, your hand, and places it on the chain. The metal hisses, like it remembers being forged in fire. Symbols flare faintly along its links, ancient sigils that crawl like living script. Then snap. The first shackle falls. You feel weight disappear, not just physical, but emotional, like a scream you've been holding for centuries, just bled out in silence. The figure fades, step by step, sinking back into your body like ink into water. You rise. Your legs are unsteady, but your core is solid, stronger than it should be. There's still no door, no staircase, but the ceiling above you seems closer now, and the light pulses like it's responding to your breath. You take a step forward. A voice not yours echoes from the walls. He's unlocked the first gate. And somewhere in the realm above, you know the gods are watching, waiting to see if you'll rise again. You climb without thinking, fingers catching in the cracks of the tower wall. There's no ladder, no carved steps, only stone made soft under your grip, as if the tower itself has decided you're worthy of passage. The air thickens as you ascend, each breath heavier than the last. And though your arms burn from the climb, something inside pushes harder, faster, like your body remembers how to rise even when your mind falters. When your hand finds metal, you pause. The trapdoor above is cold and smooth, etched with faint lines that shimmer under your touch. Not runes, exactly more like scars left behind by ancient use. You don't waste time trying to understand them. You push, and the slab creaks open, spilling harsh white light across your face. It isn't sunlight. It's surgical, precise, like a god's gaze turned solid. You pull yourself up and stand in the center of a circular arena, walled in by emptiness. There's no sky above, only the suggestion of one, blurred behind a dome of shimmering haze. The floor beneath your feet is packed sand, warm and slightly damp, as if it remembers blood. Around the edges, pillars of stone rise and fall at random heights, creating no symmetry, only uncertainty. Then a hum starts, vibrating through your bones before it touches your ears. A voice, clipped and genderless, cuts through the silence. Subject elevated. Phase 2 initiated. The ground trembles, and the sand ripples in a spiral around you. Something stirs beneath the surface. You brace as a form bursts upward, massive, armored, sinewed. It lands with a thud that throws dust into your lungs. And when it lifts its head, you meet a gaze of molten silver. The creature doesn't roar, it watches. Not like prey, like a reflection. One born to test you. You move before it does. Your feet dig into the sand, muscles responding with a precision you didn't know you still owned. You circle wide, waiting for the first tell. It comes fast, a twitch of its left shoulder. You drop low just as its tail slices through the space. Where your head had been, wind howls past your ear. You roll forward, close the gap, and drive your palm into its flank. The impact numbs your wrist, but the reaction is instant. Its body lurches sideways, armor plates rippling where your strike landed. There's no time to celebrate. The beast twists, tail curling to strike again. You vault over its back and land hard, sliding through the sand, regaining balance just as its claws rake the ground where your spine should have been. Heat floods your veins, not from adrenaline, but something deeper. The same fire that shattered your chains is awake again. You move with more than instinct now. You move with memory. Each strike you land sends echoes through your arms. And behind your eyes, visions flare circles of light, sigils you can't name, techniques not learned but remembered. You don't understand the symbols, but your body acts as if it's read them 1,000 times. You strike high, spin, then drop and sweep. The creature staggers. Not from damage, from hesitation. It knows it's losing. You plant your feet and raise your right hand, palm facing out. A whisper forms on your tongue, a word too old for this place. But it fits in your mouth like it belongs. You don't shout it, you release it. The creature charges. You hold your ground. Your fingers curl and the air bends inward. The impact never comes. The beast is gone, reduced to fragments of light that dissolve into the sand. No blood, no bones, only silence. You breathe. Once, twice. Your body shakes, not from fear, but from restraint. Whatever power you tapped into, it's not spent. It's waiting. The arena doesn't reset. Instead, the air thins again. You sense it before you see her. A figure appears at the far edge of the arena, framed in the soft shimmer of the false dome above. She stands barefoot in the sand, her presence quiet but absolute. A veil covers her face, and her hands remain still at her sides. Yet the air around her pulses like the space itself is afraid to touch her. She doesn't speak, doesn't move, but every part of you reacts to her presence. Your spine straightens. Your heartbeat slows. And for the first time since waking, you feel truly seen. She isn't a god. She's their blade. You don't move, neither does she. The air between you feels stretched, like a thread pulled tight across a blade. One shift, one breath out of rhythm, and it'll snap. She stands just outside striking range, but you know distance means nothing here, not to her. Her face is still hidden behind that thin veil, but you can feel her gaze. It's not curiosity, it's calculation. Like she's already seen how you'll move. Fall, bleed. You shift your weight slightly. Her foot slides half an inch across the sand. No warning, no flare, just purpose. Then she's gone. Your body reacts before your eyes catch up. You duck, and her fist cuts the air above your head. It doesn't whistle, it hisses, slicing the space like a blade. You twist, elbow raised, and deflect her next strike with bone-jarring force. It's like hitting a steel rod wrapped in skin. She's fast. Not god fast, not beast fast, just perfect. You parry again, step back, adjust. There's no time for power, only precision. Every move you make is tested, countered, answered. She doesn't overcommit, doesn't flinch. You're not in a fight, you're in a lesson. And you're failing. She sweeps low, you jump, but too late. Her kick clips your ankle and your balance wavers. You hit the ground hard, back skidding across the sand, heat searing your shoulder. You push up fast, but she's already standing over you, one hand raised, fingers curled. You throw a strike without thinking, desperate, raw. She catches it. No strain, no tremble. She holds your wrist with one hand and leans in. The veil sways, and for a moment, you see her eyes. Not rage, not pity, disappointment. Then she lets go. You stumble back, breathing hard. Blood trickles from your lip. You don't remember getting hit there. Doesn't matter. You plant your feet again. She watches, unmoved. You rush her. This time, not to win, but to learn. She doesn't hold back. Every strike lands like it's meant to break you. And some do. Your ribs ache, your forearm is numb. But each exchange sharpens you. She forces you to use everything: speed, instinct, memory. There's no wasted motion, no time for doubt. You don't win, but you don't fall again either. When it ends, she stops mid-strike, fingers an inch from your throat. You freeze, every muscle locked. She could kill you. You know that. Maybe that was always the point. Instead, she steps back, the veil shifts as she bows, not deeply, not with reverence, but with recognition. Like she's seen enough, then she turns and walks into the light. No door opens, no wall shifts. She simply disappears. And you're left standing in the stillness she abandoned. Your knees nearly buckle, not from pain, from something heavier, the weight of her silence. The knowledge that even if you survive what's next, you'll carry this lesson in every strike you throw. A new voice rises, mechanical. Flat, subject qualified, initiating threshold breach. The sand beneath your feet dissolves. Gravity inverts. Your body lifts, spins, and collapses into light. No more arena. You hit the surface hard, but it's not solid ground. It feels warm and strange, like something alive beneath your hands. You scramble upright, wiping your palms, but a slick, unfamiliar substance clings stubbornly. The air tastes heavy and metallic, thick enough to make breathing difficult. This place isn't a chamber, it's something alive, part of a larger whole. The walls pulse gently, expanding and contracting rhythmically, like slow, steady breathing. Faint glowing veins trace beneath translucent membranes, casting the space in an eerie, muted light. The floor trembles with each pulse, syncing with a heartbeat that isn't your own. A distant dragging sound echoes from deep within the corridor ahead. Something approaches. Your muscles tense. You reach instinctively for your power, not because it's wise, but because hesitation could be fatal. A creature emerges swiftly, its shape distorted and unsettling. It has no face, no eyes, just shifting muscles and countless mouths scattered across its chest. each whispering voices from your past. You hear your name spoken softly, the tone your mother used long ago. You hear your own faltering voice from a memory you tried to bury. It speaks to you, reminding you of things you thought were forgotten. It lunges. You roll aside, pushing off a trembling wall covered in veins. The creature crashes into the spot where you stood, leaving a dent that almost instantly mends. This place doesn't just exist, it fights to survive, helping whatever lives inside it. You steady your breath, summon the burning energy within, and release it through your fingertips. Heat spirals down your arm, forming a weapon not forged, but remembered. It isn't metal. It's made of every pain you've carried, every scar earned. You strike. The blade cuts through the whispers, which scream and dissolve into the air. The creature doesn't die. Instead, it splits open like shedding skin, revealing something smaller, quicker, more dangerous. It charges again with impossible speed. You block just barely. The impact shakes your arms, but you hold firm. You pivot, dragging your blade across its side, sparks flying where your magic clashes with the corrupted mass. It grunts a sound almost human. Pressing your advantage, you strike again, aiming for the cluster of mouths that babble nonsense before vanishing. The beast falters. Flickering like a shadow caught in shifting light, you step forward, delivering a final clean slash across what might be its core. It dissolves not into blood or ash, but into pure light. The chamber seems to exhale, veins dimming, walls relaxing. The path ahead opens, not through a door, but a tear in the living fabric. It parts like skin split by a blade, revealing a narrow corridor of soft white light and silence. You don't celebrate. This was only the guardian, not the real test. You grip your weapon tighter and step forward. As you cross through, a sudden wave of change floods your body, heating your chest, pressure behind your eyes, the unmistakable sensation of something watching from the other side. Not a god this time, something far older. And as the light fades, a single thought pierces your mind, cold and sharp. What if this presence isn't here to test you? What if it's here to awaken you? The silence feels wrong. It isn't peace, it's a trap. You move carefully, each step muffled by a fine layer of dust that shouldn't be here. No wind stirs, no magic hums, no life stirs. Just long corridors carved from obsidian black stone, etched with faintly shimmering lines that seem to remember what they'd rather forget. Your pulse quickens not from fear, but from anticipation. Something in this place calls to you not in sound, but in weight. You feel it deep in your bones, the tightness behind your ribs, like a memory trying to surface. You trace a finger along one carving. The wall shudders, then blooms open like a living thing. Behind it stares, worn, uneven, spiraling down into darkness. You descend. Each step grows heavier. Your legs move, but your breath grows shallow. It isn't just the air. Something presses against your mind. Thoughts twist and turn. Names you don't recognize flicker behind your eyes. Faces appear, then vanish like smoke. None are yours. At the bottom, you find the well. It isn't made of stone or brick, but shaped from polished bones, ceremonial and unsettling. The water inside doesn't ripple. It glows softly with a greenish light, as if lit from below by something long buried. You lean closer, drawn in, and then it begins to whisper. At first, it's nonsense. Sounds that scrape across your nerves, not meant for human comprehension. Then a word, then a sentence. And then you hear it speak your name, not the one they gave you here, the one from before. You jerk back, breath stolen from your chest. But the well isn't finished. A tendril of liquid reaches up, not water, not mist, something in between, and presses against your forehead. It doesn't hurt, it burns. Images flash behind your eyes. A battlefield drowned in black fire. A tower crumbling beneath your own hand. A crown made of bone and guilt. And a voice, your voice whispering. You asked for this. You fall to your knees, heart hammering, skin damp with cold sweat. The tendril retreats, melting back into the glow. But the memories don't fade. They settle behind your eyes, waiting, heavy. You rise slowly, eyes fixed on the path beyond the well. A doorway has appeared. The stone shimmered open while you knelt. The trial wasn't just to survive the vision, it was to choose whether or not you'd accept it. You walk through, the air colder now. You don't look back. You don't need to. Because something in you remembers more than it should, and whatever's ahead, it already knows you're coming. The passage ahead tightens as if the stone itself resents your presence. You move carefully, feeling the stale warmth clinging to the walls, as though something large recently passed through. The ground shifts under your boots, damp, soft, and covered with a thin layer of rot that sticks to the soles. There's no light guiding you now, only the faint memory of a heartbeat that isn't yours. When the tunnel widens, it opens into a dome-shaped chamber that smells like old blood and wet stone. The air feels heavy here, thick with a pressure that makes your lungs work harder just to pull in each breath. You sense something watching, but you see nothing yet. Just remnants of armor, cracked blades, and bones spread across the floor like a warning. At the center lies a pile of twisted remains, darkened by time and fused together by something hotter than fire. You don't need to guess what it was. Magic this destructive doesn't come from mortals. Then it moves. A shape uncoils from the pile, tall and hunched, limbs folding the wrong way. Its eyes glow with a sickly yellow, and its jaw hangs slack before it stretches open too far, revealing a mouth filled with jagged bone-white teeth. It stares at you for one long second, as if recognizing you from something buried deep in its own memory. Then, it charges. You react fast, dropping low, pivoting on instinct. The creature slams into the ground where you stood, claws raking sparks off the stone. You don't think. You let your body move the way it knows how. Blade drawn, you spin and drive it into the thing's side. Black mist pours out, not blood, and the air fills with the sharp scent of scorched metal and decay. It doesn't cry out. It lunges again, one claw catching your arm, digging through your sleeve with raw strength. You grit your teeth, twist your body, and knock it backward. Its feet drag through the dust, scraping bone and rust as it resets. This time, it waits before moving. Smarter now, learning. But so are you. You press in first, quick, deliberate, strike high, duck low, feint left, cut right. The creature catches your rhythm for a moment, claws dancing too close, but you shift again. You've never trained with a weapon, at least not in this life, but your muscles remember. Each motion feels rehearsed, practiced long ago in a place you've never seen, but somehow know. You catch its leg, then drive your foot into its knee. The joint bends with a sickening crack, and the creature collapses with a hiss that seems to echo through the chamber like steam. You don't hesitate. You strike again, blade through its chest, pushing until the hilt slams against its body. The creature convulses, and the mist that once ran through its veins begins to rise. It hovers above the corpse, dense and coiling like a storm, and then it moves toward you slow, deliberate, patient. You should be afraid, but you're not. The mist touches your chest, and instead of pushing back, you let it in. It sinks into your skin like warmth poured into empty space. No pain, just clarity. You don't lose control, you gain it. When the mist fades, your breath feels calmer. Your limbs steadier. The pain from your arm has dulled, and something beneath your skin hums with new weight. Across the room, the wall trembles and pulls back, revealing a new passage. There are no symbols this time, no light. Just the cold wind of the next trial, waiting to see if you've truly earned what you just claimed. And as you walk forward, the thought returns. This wasn't just a fight, it was a test, and you passed. The corridor ahead narrows, the air turning sharp with the scent of damp stone and something metallic. You press forward, the pressure building around your temples like a silent warning. The passage curves down, one slow spiral that pulls you deeper until you enter a space too wide and too quiet. A cavern opens before you, the ceiling too high to see, the walls covered in faint ridges like something clawed its way out and back in. Pools of dark liquid scatter across the floor, each one reflecting your face, but never quite in sync. You take another step, and your reflection doesn't move. It stares back at you, eyes full of questions you've tried not to ask. You force your gaze forward. This place was made to rattle you. At the center of the cavern sits a structure half throne, half altar built from bones shaped and polished into sharp, elegant spires. Something sits on it, still, watching. You don't breathe. You wait. The thing doesn't move, but its presence spreads. Not physical weight, but something worse. A pressure behind your eyes, a knowing chill along your spine. It's not just watching, it's remembering. You. Every choice, every failure, every doubt. Then it speaks. The voice is quiet, but hits like thunder inside your skull. You carry what should have been sealed. You walk paths meant for none. You dare believe you are more than you were made to be. You clench your fists, every instinct screaming to draw your blade, to silence the thing. But you wait, because something in its words sounds familiar. Not the tone, but the warning. It rises, not tall twisted. A form that shifts and snaps into shape. Arms too long, face too smooth, mouth stitched shut but still speaking. It lunges without a sound, and you're already moving. You roll left, avoid the arc of its claw, and come up slashing. Steel meets nothing. It's behind you again, faster than your eyes can track, and its hand wraps around your throat. Cold seeps into your skin. Not from its touch, but from the memories it forces into you. Flashes, screams, you, chained, again. You drive your elbow into its ribs, hard. It grunts, somehow still silent, and releases its grip. You drop, twist, slash upward. This time, you feel the blade connect, and something thick and heavy sprays across your chest, and it recoils. But it doesn't stop. The creature blurs, then splits two, then four. Copies of the same broken shape circle you, eyes like coals, mouths still sewn. They attack in tandem. You duck the first strike, catch the second with your forearm, and lash out with a burst of raw force. The shadows scatter. Only one remains. You step in close, cut under its arm, then slam your shoulder into its chest. It staggers, and that's all the opening you need. You drive the blade through its core. It shudders, hands gripping your arms like it's begging for something. Then its body crumbles, folds into mist, and fades. The altar behind it cracks. A new path opens in the stone, lit by the glow of unfamiliar runes. But you don't move just yet. You're still breathing hard, hand trembling from what you saw, what you felt. Not just the creature's mind, but yours. And something inside it that doesn't belong to you. The tunnel behind you closes like it was never there. You're standing in a chamber far larger than the last, though its size doesn't comfort you. The walls are etched with glowing threads, dim and pulsing like a heartbeat deep underground. You're not sure if the light is meant to guide you or to warn you. Ahead, two jagged stone slabs lean into each other, their surfaces cracked with molten veins. Between them hovers something that isn't quite air and isn't quite a doorway. The space ripples but doesn't open. You step forward, drawn by the pull in your chest, the same instinct that's carried you this far through every trial. You get close enough to feel it hum in your bones, then you freeze. Behind you, the air changes. You spin, blade ready. He's already there, not materialized, not summoned, just there. He looks like a man, but the stillness in his stance says otherwise. His eyes don't blink, his chest doesn't rise. He wears the shape of a traveler dust gray coat, boots worn smooth, but there's no warmth in him, no curiosity. "You shouldn't be here," he says, tone even, eyes locked on yours. You don't answer right away. You study him, waiting for the twitch of a hand, a shift in stance. Nothing comes. "I've earned my way through," you finally reply. He shakes his head, almost like he pities you. "You've taken something that isn't yours. The gate doesn't respond to thieves." "Then why hasn't it shut me out?" The faintest curve of his lips answers you. "Because it wants to see how far you'll go." He doesn't give a warning. He moves with sudden surgical speed. One moment he's still, the next his palm slices toward your side. You react just in time, parrying with the flat of your blade, but his strength sends vibrations up your arm. You pivot, counter, but he's already behind you. His fighting style is different, no fury, no emotion. Every move is designed to expose a weakness, not overpower you. He's testing you, judging. You press harder. Your blade whistles through the air, aimed at his shoulder, but he sidesteps with unnatural ease. You follow with a low sweep meant to trip him, but he jumps, lands with barely a sound, and brings his elbow down toward your collarbone. You twist, absorb the blow with your shoulder, and slam your foot into his side. He stumbles, just enough. Enough to remind him you're not just surviving. You're adapting. The chamber responds. The gate vibrates, not from magic, but from intent. It recognizes what's happening. The trial hasn't ended, it's evolved. The figure pauses. For the first time, his expression cracks just a flicker. He lowers his arms and steps back without a word. You remain still, unsure if this is surrender or something worse. He nods once, and in the space of the blink, dissolves into the floor like smoke being sucked away. You're alone again. The stone slabs still stand ahead, unchanged in shape, but the energy between them feels different. It no longer waits in silence. It listens. You can feel it like pressure against your ribs, a test not of strength but of resolve. You step forward, not because the path is clear, but because turning back was never an option. And this time, the gate doesn't resist. It breathes with you. Whatever lies ahead isn't just a new room, it's the beginning of something bigger. The world beyond the gate isn't what you expect. There's no corridor, no gradual descent, just light endless, golden, and searing. You blink once and the chamber shifts into focus. Circular, towering, walls lined with massive statues, each bearing weapons that hum faintly with restrained power. At the center, suspended above a glowing sigil carved into the stone, is a pedestal. Upon it rests a flame. Not a torch, not fire. A flame that doesn't move, doesn't flicker, but watches. You don't know how you know that, but it's undeniable. The moment your feet touch the stone, it reacts. Heat floods the room, not like warmth, but like a question demanding an answer. A voice fills the chamber not from the flame, not from the statues, but from inside your skull. Final judgment begins. You clench your fists, bracing for a fight, but nothing moves. Then you feel it. Your body begins to rise, not lifted by magic, dragged by your own weightlessness. You struggle, but there's no resisting. The flame calls and your body obeys. You hover before it, inches away from the light. It should burn, but it doesn't. It should blind, but you see more clearly than ever. Memories that aren't yours begin to play behind your eyes. 100 lives, 1,000 deaths, warriors, tyrants, guardians, monsters. You see each of them fall. You feel their choices, and you understand. This isn't a test of power, it's a reckoning of identity. The flame wants to know who you are. You force yourself to speak, though your voice feels distant. I'm not them. The light pulses. I've survived your trials. I've fought, bled, changed, but I won't be a reflection of your failed champions. The flame pulses again, this time violently. A gust of heat slams into your chest. Your muscles seize. Your heartbeat goes erratic. But you don't look away. I'm not a vessel for your memory. I'm a storm you didn't plan for. The statues shudder. Cracks form across their marble arms. Their weapons tilt slightly, as if waking. The sigil below the flame begins to rotate, slow and grinding. The chamber shakes, but the flame stays still. Then it answers not with words, but with motion. It leaps into your chest. There's no pain, just pressure, like a seal breaking. Your veins ignite, not with heat, but clarity. Power flows into you, but it's not a gift. It's a burden, one you now carry with full awareness. The chamber dims. The statues go silent once more. And you fall, landing on your knees, breath ragged, body shaking. But you're not the same. When you stand again, the mark of the flame glows faintly beneath your skin, just over your heart. You hear no applause, no fanfare, but you feel it. Something ancient just recognized you as one of its own. A new passage opens across the room, its arch lined with the same markings that now pulse inside you. You step toward it, not because you've won, but because this was only the beginning. You stagger through the dust, your breath heavy in your chest as the last echo of battle fades. Heat clings to your skin, not from sunlight, but from the strange fire still burning beneath your veins. You don't remember casting any spell, yet the energy crackles around you like static clinging to your body. Something inside you has changed, deepened, darkened. You can feel it. Behind you, the ground is littered with charred stone and shattered earth. Smoke rises in curls. The girl you saved, Frost, sits against a broken pillar, her limbs trembling, her eyes wide and unfocused. Her voice, weak but insistent, cuts through the ringing in your ears. That wasn't normal. That power you used, what was that? You don't answer right away, because you don't know. Whatever it was, it didn't come from the training you remember or from the techniques they tried to hammer into your body. No, this power felt older, wilder, like it remembered things you didn't. Your hands still buzz. You clench your fists to quiet the shaking. She tries to stand, falters, and you move instinctively, catching her elbow before she falls again. Her skin is clammy with sweat. She's afraid of you. You realize, but she's more afraid of what nearly killed her. You scan the broken terrain, no sign of movement, but something tells you the danger isn't over. This was no random test. This was staged, directed. You look up at the stone towers surrounding the combat ground. High above, behind veiled arches and flickering enchantments, you feel the presence of watchers silent, cloaked in judgment, watching your every move. One of them is the Archon who brought you here. Another might be the one who nearly erased you before this trial even began. You clench your jaw, you pass their trial. But you're not done. Frost steadies herself, finally speaking again. The others won't see it that way. You broke the ground open. You crushed half the arena. Some of them think you lost control. I didn't. It's all you say, but even you aren't certain. She lowers her gaze. They'll try to contain you now. You showed them something they didn't expect. A tremor runs through the floor, subtle but unmistakable. You tense. Your instincts scream. This isn't over. Frost stumbles again, but this time she grips your arm hard. They're watching. We have to move. Now! You nod once, then guide her across the cracked stone path. Each step echoes louder than it should, as if the ground itself is listening. You pass through the broken arch where the trial began, only to find a corridor you don't recognize. The lights overhead flicker. The air tastes like copper. Another trap. You step in first, shielding Frost behind your arm. Every sense sharpens. The corridor bends sharply, then opens into a hall filled with a dense red mist. It glows faintly, casting long shadows that twitch even when nothing moves. Something's breathing in the dark. You take another step. The breath tightens in your chest. You speak over your shoulder, voice low. Don't talk, just stay behind me. You reach for the residual energy in your veins, trying to coax that strange new power back to life. It doesn't come easily. This time, it resists, like something buried deep isn't ready to rise again. Then, the growl hits. It doesn't come from ahead, but above. You shove Frost aside and leap back just in time as a hulking shape crashes down from the ceiling tiles. Its body is sleek, oily, with eyes like molten obsidian. No armor, just muscle, claws, and rage. It snarls and charges straight at you. You brace, then move. You duck low, sliding under its first swipe, the claws slicing wind where your head was moments ago. Your palm slams into its ribs, channeling the flickering pulse of energy you can still summon. There's a small detonation just enough to send it skidding back. You leap forward, pressing the advantage. Every movement is instinct now. Elbow, knee, heel. You twist around its limbs, drive your shoulder into its jaw, then spin out of reach before it can counter. But it learns. The next blow catches you in the ribs, lifting you off your feet. You crash into the wall, air torn from your lungs. The impact cracks the stone behind you. You push up anyway. Frost hurls a shard of ice, it barely slows the beast. You leap again, hands igniting with that unstable power. Your fingers dig into its throat, and this time you don't hold back. The light blinds you both. When it clears, the creature is gone. Only scorched stone and the smell of burning ozone remain. Frost stares at you, wide-eyed, silent. You're breathing hard, but you're still standing. Next time, you say, I want answers before they throw us into another death trap. She nods, her lips tight. No one is coming to greet you. No congratulations. Just the long hallway ahead and more silence. But you hear footsteps now, light, unhurried. Whoever's coming knows exactly what you just did. You followed the sound of the approaching footsteps, each step light and deliberate. Whoever it is, they aren't hiding. They want you to hear them. Frost stays close, her breath still uneven from the last fight, but she keeps her pace steady. You glance over, she's trying to look calm, but her fingers twitch near her belt, ready to summon a spell. The corridor leads into a long stone gallery. Columns rise like ribs on either side, their surfaces marked with runes that pulse faintly as you pass. You've never seen this part of the trial grounds before. It feels ancient, unused, like the walls themselves are holding their breath. Then the figure appears. At first, it's just a silhouette framed by the far archway. But as they approach, the dim red lighting picks out the details: an officer's coat draped loosely over her frame, dark hair tied back in a braid, and eyes that gleam like twin blades. It's Commander Salan, the Archon's lieutenant. You've seen her before, watching from above, always silent, always calculating. She stops just out of reach. You're still conscious, she says, voice level. Impressive. You don't reply. You wait. She steps closer, her boots silent on the stone floor. Her gaze lingers on the scorch marks around you, the fractured ceiling overhead, the faint flicker still curling off your hands. I watched the entire trial, she says. You were never supposed to survive. There's no threat in her tone, no apology either. You think that's a confession? You ask. No, she says. That's a compliment. Behind you, Frost stiffens. Celine circles once, eyes never leaving yours. The others feared what you might become. I volunteered to handle your removal myself, but I had to see it first to see what you do when pushed. You narrow your eyes, and her lips twitch, not quite a smile. You didn't disappoint. Before you can ask what she means, she turns away, gesturing down the hall. Come with me, the Archon wants to see you, alone. You glance at Frost. Her jaw tightens, but she nods. Go, I'll wait here. You don't like it, but you follow. The hallway shifts again, stone giving way to obsidian, the air colder, heavier. You're led through two vault-like doors, both sealed with layered glyphs that shimmer as they part. Celine moves without hesitation. You match her pace, each step taking you deeper underground, until the air tastes like metal and magic. Finally, the passage opens into a wide chamber. There are no windows, no torches, just a single floating prism casting pale light downward. The Archon waits beneath it. Tall, draped in dark crimson robes, face hidden behind a polished obsidian mask etched with the Academy's crest, the Archon doesn't speak as you enter, but you feel their presence like a tide pressing against your mind. Selene bows once, then leaves you standing alone. Seconds pass. Then the Archon speaks. You change the outcome of the trial. Their voices layered male and female tones blending, echoing off the stone. You disobeyed the system. You broke the ground. You destabilized the construct, but you survived. You say nothing. You're not sure which part they're upset about. We gave you an impossible task, the Archon continues, because we needed to see it for ourselves, to confirm what the reports suggested. You clench your jaw. That I'm not normal. That you're something worse or better. A pause. Then the Archon lifts one hand. A holographic image forms in the air, your body, mid-combat, suspended in a field of distorted mana. The energy around you isn't the Academy's. It isn't elemental. It's something older. You pulled this from within, not trained, not learned, inherited. Your stomach tightens. What do you want? You ask. The Archon lowers their hand. We want to test your limits, all of them. You step back. I passed your trial. I didn't agree to anything else. They tilt their head. You already agreed the moment you survived. Without warning, a second figure appears, another officer, masked, robes crackling with faint green light. They raise one hand. A pulse of energy slams into you before you can brace. Your body flies backwards, slamming into the far wall. Pain rips through your side, but you're already rolling to your feet. The power inside you surges again, woken by force. The figure lunges. This time, you meet them head on. Your fists collide, light erupts, blinding, tearing through the space between you. You slam your elbow into their ribs, then spin and sweep their legs. They counter midair, twisting to land on one knee. You push harder, faster. You feel the eyes behind the mask watching, calculating. You know now this isn't a punishment, it's an invitation. You catch your breath as the chamber settles. The masked attacker retreats into the shadows, not wounded, just dismissed. You're left standing in the silence again, your muscles trembling from the surge of borrowed strength. The Archon hasn't moved. You adapt quickly, they say, but adaptation isn't enough. You keep your stance guarded. Then what do you want? The Archon doesn't answer right away. Instead, they raise one hand. A circle of glyphs ignites around your feet. You tense, ready for another blow, but nothing strikes you. No, this time it's not an attack. You feel the glyphs scanning you, peeling layers, memory, blood, soul. There's no pain, but your chest tightens anyway, like something important is being cataloged without your permission. When the light fades, the Archon nods. You'll be assigned to the Nexus unit, effective immediately. Your control, your instincts both are unstable, but usable. Let's see if you can survive out there. You open your mouth to protest, but the Archon cuts you off with a raised finger. You'll find your orders waiting in your quarters. Your partner is already assigned. You blink. Partner. But they're already turning away. You're dismissed. Celine's waiting when you exit. No expression, no comment, just a single nod that tells you she heard everything. Back in the main hall, you find Frost still there. She straightens at the sight of you. You alive? Barely. She studies your face. You saw the Archon? You nod. And? You hesitate. Then you say, they want to see what I become. That earns a small smile. Doesn't everyone? Before you can reply, a mechanical tone sounds overhead. Assignment chimes. Your name appears on the hall's projection wall along with one other. Unit 7A. Shade. Partner Ash. Deployment, outer gate, level 4, immediate. Frost's smile fades. Ash, she says, voice low. You're getting paired with him. You frown. Who is he? She shakes her head. You'll find out. Just don't trust that mask he wears. You don't have time to press. The deployment timer is counting down. 10 minutes. You head back to the dorm quarters, your legs still aching. Inside, a black case waits on your cot. Your unit badge is embedded on the lid, the seal freshly burned. You open it. Inside is a compact set of armor, streamlined for speed, embedded with subtle mana channels. Lightweight, black, no insignias. The helmet is matte silver with a narrow slit visor, no faceplate, no identity. They want you invisible, disposable. You suit up. Outside, the sun is already dipping. The outer gate is surrounded by a tall shield wall, pulsing faintly. Just ahead, a lone figure leans against the guardrail, arms crossed, mask reflecting the crimson sky. You know immediately it's him, Ash. His armor is nearly identical to yours, except for the scorch marks along his right shoulder. He doesn't speak until you're standing beside him. You're late, he says, voice flat. I had a meeting. Good, he says. You'll need those connections. He turns, heading toward the edge where the patrol lift waits. You follow, silent for a moment. The tension between you is instant, not hostile, just heavy, like he's already seen how this ends. What do you know about this mission? You ask. Standard sweep, he says. Zone was marked unstable. Mana distortion off the charts. Last 3 units sent in never reported back. You glance at him, and they're sending us because they want to see what you can do. The lift hums to life, lowering both of you into the canyon zone. Ash adjusts the strap on his gauntlet. You didn't ask why I'm called Ash, you raise a brow. You gonna tell me he doesn't look at you? Because everything I touch burns. The canyon opens before you, twisted terrain, shattered ruins, and a sky cracked with flickers of red light. You feel your heartbeat pick up, your pulse sinking with the hum in the ground. Something down here is wrong, but you've been sent to fix it. The canyon air hits your armor like a furnace dry, crackling, soaked in residual mana. Ash walks ahead, silent as a shadow, but every step he takes kicks up faint sparks from the ground. You follow, your senses stretching outward. The terrain feels wrong, like the earth itself is holding its breath. The further you descend, the heavier the pressure gets. It's not gravity, it's the echo of something that doesn't want you here. Ash stops at the foot of a crumbling ridge and kneels. You crouch beside him, spotting the same thing, charred footprints. Human, but uneven. One set drags like the person was half conscious. The others? Circular patterns burned into the stone. No tread, no heel. You trace the edges with your glove. These aren't ours, Ash nods. They're what's left after the others failed. A low hum vibrates in the air. It's subtle, but it's there like in the song of a wire stretched too tight. Then you hear it. Not through your ears, but beneath your skin, a call not in words, but something close to intent. Hunger Ash stiffens. We need to move. Now you rise just as the ground pulses, not trembles pulses like a heartbeat. Cracks split open behind you. Something moves in the dark above, Ash says. You spin as a blur drops from the cliff. It lands hard, shattering rock on impact. For a second, it looks human. 2 legs, long arms, hunched frame, but then it lifts its head. Its face is hollow. No eyes. Just a spiral of teeth opening and closing around black flame. You don't wait. You shift your stance, channeling the burst spell etched into your gloves. The mana kicks up with a roar, launching you toward it. You slam into the thing mid-leap, knocking it off balance, but its skin burns cold against your armor. It twists, shrieking, and a tendril of energy lashes toward your side. Ash is already there. His blade ignites as he moves a short arc that slices through the limb before it reaches you. The creature doesn't flinch. Instead, it absorbs the severed piece, the spiral in its chest spinning faster. Ash backs off. We can't feed it energy, it adapts. So what do? He points upward. Force it to fall. The next 10 seconds are chaos. You dodge low, drawing its attention while Ash scales the cliff again. The creature lunges, its body warping midair. You feint left, then snap a kinetic charge against the rock beneath its feet. The blast cracks the ledge. Just enough. Ash drops again, this time driving both feet into the weakened stone. The cliff crumbles, and the creature falls with it, howling as it's swallowed by the chasm below. You're both breathing hard, not just from exertion, but from the way the air refuses to clear. The creature's energy didn't die, it dispersed. The air is soaked with it now, making every breath feel like you're inhaling embers. Ash wipes his blade clean against his arm guard. That wasn't even a full conversion, just a shell. You glance at him. You've seen them before. Once, he says. Didn't go this well. See. He turns toward the far end of the canyon. There's more. This zone isn't just unstable, it's corrupted. You fall into step beside him, your boots crunching against cracked stone. How did the others not report back? You ask. Ash doesn't answer right away. Then he says, because they were changed before they could. The canyon narrows as you move, walls pressing tighter, the sky overhead bleeding red through cracks in the rock. The glyphs on your armor pulse faintly, reacting to something ahead. You pass what looks like the remains of a squad beacon, shattered, burned, and fused into the earth. Ash kneels beside it, brushing ash away with his gauntlet. No names, he says, just numbers. You stare at the melted unit tag. They were erased. He rises. We're close. Whatever's behind this, it's nested deeper. You adjust your visor, narrowing the focus. At the far end of the path, where the rock bleeds into a cavern mouth, a dull blue glow pulses in steady rhythm, like a heartbeat. You grip your weapon tighter. Your own pulse starts to match the rhythm, whether by fear or something deeper you can't tell. Ash doesn't speak. You don't either. You both walk toward the light. You enter the cavern and everything changes. The heat from outside vanishes. The air here is still not quiet, just still, like it's afraid to move. You feel it settle on your skin, cold and watching. Ash signals for silence, and you lower your stance. The walls are smooth, too smooth to be natural. They glisten faintly, wet with something that smells faintly of rust and old bone. Then the sound comes. A scraping. It starts distant, like metal dragged across stone. Then closer, faster. You and Ash split, flanking either side of the tunnel. From the darkness ahead, a shape lurches forward. It's taller than any humanoid should be. Its limbs distended like melted wax stretched into spears. It doesn't walk. It shifts, gliding across the ground, its body warping with every step. You raise your weapon. Ash does the same. But before either of you moves, the creature stops. It speaks, not with words, with pressure. A pulse floods your mind, pushing memories that aren't yours into your head, visions of burning cities, skies filled with black fire, towers falling under waves of corrupted mana. You stagger, gripping the wall, forcing yourself not to fall under its weight. Ash grits his teeth beside you. It's not talking, it's feeding. You shake it off. The visions fade, but the aftertaste lingers like ash stuck in the back of your throat. Together? You ask. He nods. You move. Ash goes low, baiting the creature forward. It follows, stretching its limbs into impossible shapes. You dash wide, circling behind. Its head jerks unnaturally too fast, too sharp, but it can't track both of you at once. Ash slides beneath a strike, carving into its side. You leap forward, slamming a charged spike into its spine. The light explodes outward. It screeches, not in pain, in recognition, like it's seen this tactic before. Its body convulses and reshapes. The wound closes in seconds. A second mouth opens on its chest, and the scream that comes out sends your vision spinning. Your ears bleed. You fall to a knee, vision doubling. But Ash is already on the move again. He throws something a prism core right into the creature's shrieking maw. It detonates inside, light spearing out of its body. The thing rears back, limbs flailing. You recover just fast enough to act. A burst of mana drives you forward. You close the distance and strike, aiming not at flesh, but at the runes burning faintly along its spine. They crack. The creature collapses. You don't wait. Ash charges in, blade first, driving it deep into what used to be a heart. The light inside it flares once, then extinguishes. The body twitches, then nothing. You both back off slowly, weapons still raised. No regeneration, no follow-up scream. It's dead. You exhale. What was that? Ash wipes blood from his ear. Something ancient and hungry. You look around. The cavern walls are shifting slightly now, just enough to make you feel like they're breathing. Ash mutters, "This place wasn't built. It was grown." You glance down the long stretch of corridor ahead, where a dull red glow pulses faintly in the dark. One step at a time, you move forward, but now, every step feels like walking into the open mouth of something waiting. The tunnel tightens, not physically, but spiritually. You feel the walls pressing in, not with weight, but with intent, like they're listening. Ash halts beside a strange symbol etched into the stone. It's shaped like a spiral, but inside it, you see patterns that don't stay still. They move, even when you don't blink. Recognize it? You ask. He nods grimly. It's a recursion mark, temporal fracture. Time magic? No, he says. Worse, time replay. You step past it cautiously, but already the world feels thinner. Sound comes late. Light shifts colors when you aren't watching. Ash flickers for a second gone, then back. This place is unstable, he warns. Then the illusion breaks. The hallway shatters like glass, and you're standing in the middle of a battlefield. But it's not now. It's then. You see people in old world armor, no sigils, no tech fighting shadowy creatures with blades of raw light. The ground cracks beneath them. Whole structures collapse in on themselves. Then everything pauses. And all of the figures turn to look at you. You blink and they're gone. Ash curses. It's dragging us into echoes. You clench your fists. Can we move forward? Only if we don't get caught in them again. You double time it. The path splits into 3 ahead. Ash points left. The source is that way. How do you know? He doesn't answer. You follow. The corridor widens into a chamber lined with floating stones. They hover in perfect symmetry, each carved with the same pulsing symbol. You count 6, no, 7, and they're all tethered by veins of glowing filament. At the center stands a figure, human-shaped, masked, perfectly still. You raise your weapon. It speaks. Welcome back. Your blood goes cold. I don't know you, you say. The figure tilts its head. But I know the shadow you carry. Your mind jolts. The dream, the mirror, the version of you that wasn't just dark, it was wrong. Ash steps forward. Don't engage. It's a bait construct. You nod, but the figure steps closer, its presence warping the space around it. You fire. The blast hits, but doesn't land. It phases through. Illusion, no anchor. The stones pulse in unison. Ash yells, "They're stabilizers! Kill them!" You don't hesitate. You dash toward the nearest floating stone, weaving between arcs of static energy that surge from the center. Each one you destroy sends a shockwave rippling through the space. The figure flickers with every pulse. 3 down, 4, 5. You take a hit, raw mana slices your arm open, but you push through. 6, 7. The final stone cracks and the entire chamber destabilizes. The figure collapses into smoke, the filaments ripping apart midair. The illusion crumbles. You're back in the hallway on your knees, panting. Ash is beside you, breathing hard. You okay? He asks. You nod slowly, but inside, your hands won't stop shaking. Because for a second, when the figure dissolved, you saw its eyes, and they looked exactly like yours. You and Ash move without speaking. The air between you is tense, the kind that holds unspoken questions neither of you want to voice. That last encounter shook something loose inside you. Some layer of certainty peeled back, revealing more questions than answers. The halls bend unnaturally now. Every few steps, you're hit with deja vu. Same torch sconces, same cracks in the stone, same faint whisper of wind brushing against your ear. You drag a nick across the wall with your blade as a marker. But 5 minutes later, you pass that same mark again. We've looped, Ash mutters, not bothering to hide the frustration in his voice. You stop and scan the corridor. Some kind of spatial trap, a fold or a recursive loop. Ash crouches and presses his hand to the cold floor, eyes narrowing in concentration. Feel that? You drop beside him and rest your palm on the stone. There's a vibration not like an earthquake, but a deeper, rhythmic thrum beneath the surface. It's too steady to be natural, almost like a pulse. There's something living underneath this floor, or pretending to be. You follow the sensation. Each turn feels drawn by instinct rather than logic. And then, without warning, the environment starts to change. The walls lose color at the edges. They flicker, shimmering like broken reflections on water. In places, they seem to peel away entirely, revealing faint glimpses of something else, structures too large to exist underground, sky fragments where no sky should be. The passage opens into a wide chamber, and you stop short. At its center lies a sunken altar, surrounded by 7 floating obelisks. Some are cracked. Others hover at strange angles. Each one is carved with glyphs that tug at something buried in your memory. You don't recognize the language, but part of you understands them anyway. They aren't words. They're feelings. Anchors. Ash steps in beside you, voice hushed. These are memory pins. Dimensional stabilizers. You don't ask how he knows. The look on his face says even he doesn't understand how the words came to him. You approach the altar cautiously. The air here is thicker. Every breath feels like inhaling through water. At the center of the stone, a name is carved deep into the surface. Your name. Not the one people call you now, the one you saw in the dream, the one the shadow used. For a moment, your knees nearly buckle. The pressure around you spikes, like something just noticed your presence. Ash grabs your arm and pulls you back. Don't speak it, he says quickly. Don't even think it too loudly. Before you can respond, the chamber pulses. The world flips, and you're somewhere else. The stone is gone. The chamber is gone. Now you're standing above a massive city torn in two by a glowing scar across the ground. The people below flee in silent terror. Overhead, the sky splits open. A version of you floats above the chaos, skin veined with fire, eyes black as void. With a single motion, that other you lifts a hand and the city begins to collapse. Then it ends. You're back in the chamber, gasping, your vision swimming. Ash steadies you again. That was a vision, he says. Not a memory, a possible outcome. Your mouth is dry. It felt real. Ash doesn't reply. He's staring at the wall behind the altar. A new mark is there still smoking, as if freshly burned into the stone. You move closer and see it's a symbol, circular and broken through the middle. The same symbol that appeared on your hand after the dream. The same one that marked the creature from before. Something is tracking you, not just your movements, your decisions. A faint scuff of movement behind you pulls your attention. You spin, weapon raised, heart hammering. Nothing's there. But the air feels wrong again. Ash looks down the passageway you just came from. We're not alone. Neither of you needs to say more. You retreat from the chamber, every step measured and quiet. The hallway has changed again. The stone beneath your feet is pulsing now, rising and falling like a breath. Walls undulate with the motion, and the lights flicker with increasing rhythm. Then you see it. Ahead, something moves tall, hunched, scraping along the ceiling with clawed limbs too long for its frame. It doesn't walk. It slides. You run. Ash runs. The creature doesn't chase in the traditional sense, it simply follows, like it knows you can't escape for long. The air thickens. Each stride feels heavier than the last. The corridor tilts, the floor swelling beneath your feet, throwing off your balance. You hear a growl behind you, not a voice, but something primal, hungry. A light appears up ahead, dim but real. Push for it! Ash shouts. You sprint harder. The creature behind you is faster now, limbs striking stone with thunderous cracks. You feel its breath, or whatever passes for breath, curling at your back. You throw yourself forward, diving through the threshold of the light. It cuts across your skin like flame. Ash crashes through behind you. The entrance seals shut behind him with a deafening slam. You land hard on smooth ground. Ash rolls to your side. This space is silent, still. The chaos is sealed behind you for now. Ash sits up slowly, breathing hard. We're in the final sector. You don't answer right away. Your heart is still pounding. Your name, your real name, was carved into that altar. And whatever comes next, it already knows who you are. Your lungs burn as you push forward, ignoring the weight dragging at your limbs. The metallic tang of blood clings to the back of your throat. You can still taste the ash, feel the heat from the earlier explosion clinging to your skin. But you don't stop. You can't. Not with Frostvale still out there. Not with what you've just seen. You leap over the splintered remains of the corridor. Every step echoes too loud, like a countdown you're trying to outrun. Debris shifts beneath your feet, but you keep your balance, heart pounding in your ears. A flicker of motion left, you pivot hard, barely dodging the blast of cold that turns the wall behind you into frozen crystal. She's here. Frostfield doesn't glide, she carves through space. Her presence sucks the heat from the air. Even your breath fogs as she steps forward, eyes glittering with controlled fury. You've seen her fight before, but this is personal. And you're the reason. You plant your feet, summoning every drop of mana you've got left. Energy pulses through your arms, ready to surge forward. You won't run, not this time. She strikes first. A wave of frost slams into your shield, cracking it down the middle. The pressure sends you sliding back, boots scraping against ice-slicked stone. Pain stabs through your arms, but you hold, barely. "You should have stayed hidden," she growls. "You should have killed me when you had the chance." You snap back. You fire a burst of heat, watching steam hiss where your flame meets her frost. The chamber becomes a battleground of extremes, ice cracking, fire roaring, steam choking the air. She's faster, but you're more desperate. You duck low, then leap upward, sending a spear of flame directly toward her chest. She deflects it with a flick of her wrist, but it buys you a second. Enough to charge. Your shoulder slams into hers, forcing her off balance. You swing again this time, a punch laced with kinetic force. It lands. She reels, but only for a heartbeat. Cold explodes outward. You're thrown back, crashing into a pillar hard enough to see stars. Something cracks. Maybe the stone. Maybe you. Doesn't matter. You're already moving again. Your next spell isn't elegant. It's raw, wild, barely controlled, but it works. A burst of molten air engulfs the space between you, shielding your approach. You dive through, fist cocked, fury burning through your fatigue. And then she's gone. The moment your strike connects with nothing, your instincts scream. She's above. You twist, barely dodging the icicle blade aimed at your heart. It grazes your shoulder, slicing cloth and skin. You hiss, grabbing her wrist with your other hand and slamming her down with all your weight. She gasps as her back hits the floor, but her knee drives up straight into your ribs. You stagger, breath stolen, and she kicks off, flipping back onto her feet like a predator ready to pounce. The fight drags on. Neither of you speaks. There's no room for words, only will, only power. Your spells clash in bursts of light and darkness, heat and cold. You lose track of time. Every blow lands with the weight of a choice. Every counterattack screams desperation. Then she hesitates, just for a moment, and that's all you need. You drive her back with a flurry of attacks, fire, wind, raw mana, and press forward. Your fists burn, your body trembles, but you don't stop. You punch through her guard, through her final barrier, and slam your palm against her chest. The blast throws you both apart. You lie on the ground, chest heaving, staring at the flickering lights above. She doesn't rise. Not yet. You force yourself upright, dragging in another breath. You don't know if she's unconscious. Don't care. Because now, finally, the path ahead is clear, and something is waiting at the end. You brace yourself as the cold morning air stings your face. The moment you step beyond the stone threshold, the entire world feels heavier, like the atmosphere itself is pressing down, waiting for something to snap. Your fingers tighten instinctively, sensing the tension coiled in the earth beneath your feet. The others fan out behind you, but you don't need to look back. You feel their presence, hear their breathing, even sense their unease. The path ahead is cracked and uneven, winding through a half-collapsed courtyard choked with blackened vines and broken statues. But it's not the decay that unsettles you, it's the silence. The kind of silence that doesn't just fall, it waits. Then it begins. A ripple, subtle at first, vibrates beneath your boots. You halt. The ground shivers again, more violently this time, and the broken tiles rattle as if warning you to turn back. You don't. Instead, you step forward. That's when the roar splits the air, a guttural, metallic shriek that feels like it's tearing through the marrow of your bones. The vines snap away like pulled strings, and from beneath the cracked earth, something surges upward. A monstrosity erupts from the stone, encased in jagged plates of molten black armor. Its eyes glow with a red hue that doesn't burn, it devours. Each step it takes leaves scorch marks behind, and you feel the heat lash at your skin from meters away. Your instincts scream. You leap back just as its spiked arm smashes down where you stood, reducing the stone to powdered ash. You don't think. You move. Your blade is in your hand before your conscious mind catches up. You duck low, slash sideways, aiming beneath its armor. Sparks fly. Your edge scrapes off, leaving only a shallow scar. Not enough. The beast lunges, faster than anything that size should be. You throw yourself sideways, rolling once, twice, coming up on a knee just in time to meet the creature's tail, a barbed whip of metal that whistles through the air. You block with the flat of your blade, the impact sending shockwaves down your arm. You grit your teeth, not because of pain, but because this thing isn't just a brute, it's thinking, testing, adjusting. It's learning your rhythm. You change it. You feint left, slide right, then drive your knee into the creature's flank. It falters for half a second, that's all you need. You plunge your sword upward into the gap near its neck. The metal shrieks, the beast rears back, but you don't let go. You climb with it, twisting your weapon deeper. It slams itself against a wall, trying to crush you. You barely slip free, dropping hard onto the rubble below. Your ribs protest, but you ignore them. You fought with worse. The others try to help. A bolt of lightning arcs in from behind, striking the beast's leg. It staggers. Another slashes from the side with dual blades, carving shallow lines into its back. You bellow a command. Keep it turning. Don't let it anchor. They respond without hesitation. Together, you circle, each of you striking in rhythm. Every hit wears it down barely, but you feel the pressure building. It's slowing. Its movements aren't as fluid now. Its armor hisses, cooling unevenly. Cracks begin to show. Then it changes. The core in its chest flares too bright to look at. It releases a shockwave, knocking everyone flat. You slam into a pillar, the breath forced from your lungs. You barely get your arms up as it charges again, blade like limbs spinning. But something inside you shifts. A fire ignites, not from fear, but fury. You can't let it end here. You rise, ignoring the blood dripping down your face. With a roar, you sprint forward. You duck under one blade, leap over another, then launch yourself straight at its core. Your weapon flares drawn from the pit of your being, and for a second, everything slows. You strike. A deafening crack echoes through the ruins as your blade pierces straight through the glowing core. A surge of energy explodes outward. You're thrown back again, but so is the creature. It stumbles, collapses, and then it lies still. Smoke rises from the fractured shell of what once threatened to end you all. You push yourself upright, chest heaving, ears ringing. Around you, the others groan, slowly regaining their footing. One of them limps toward you. Is it dead? You nod once, eyes fixed on the wreckage. But something nags at you. That fight felt too deliberate. As if it wasn't just trying to kill, it was testing your limits. And it learned. You turn your gaze to the shadows beyond the courtyard, where the path continues, darker than before. You don't know what's waiting there, but it knows you're coming. The ruins behind you are still smoking. The scent of scorched stone and blood lingers in the air as you push forward. Your steps slower now, but no less determined. The others follow, shaken but alive. Every one of you bears a mark from the battle, a limp, a burn, a bruise, but no one complains. Not here. Not anymore. The path narrows as you descend a spiraling staircase carved into the cliffside.